It is Canadian Open week as Rory McIlRoy finally speaks. Hey everyone, welcome into another edition of On Tour with Jon McCarthy, presented by Callaway. Rob Wong, joined alongside by Toronto Sun national golf writer Jon McCarthy, who joins us from TPC Toronto for the RBC Canadian Open, which gets going on Thursday. And Jon, we've talked a little bit about this course leading up to the tournament, but now that you're finally there, how does it set up as a venue this week?
Yeah, now that I'm on site, it's great to see such a sprawling location for this tournament. They basically have as much room as they could possibly want to do all the things that a modern golf tournament has turned into. One question mark coming in was sort of, would the players be okay with it being, an hour with decent traffic away from the downtown core of Toronto? And it seems like for most players, this is basically a business trip. And whenever you're on a business trip, you want a good place to work, you need a nice place to stay, and as long as the food's okay. So everybody seems to enjoy this place. The practice facilities, Corey Connors was just mentioning, are top notch. And he said that everyone he talks to, he's heard a lot of good things, a lot of good feedback about the site, the venue. Rory McIlRoy did mention, he said, being close to a cosmopolitan downtown like Toronto is a draw. So there could be some players that are still sort of looking at Toronto as maybe a better location, but they'll be there, 2 of every 5 years or so. They'll be at St. George's or something, or somewhere in the city. So I think initially this thing looks great, and it's going to be here. This is going to be the de facto home of the RBC Canadian Open for probably, at least the next generation of golf. Golf Canada is moving its headquarters here. So every time it's not at one of these sort of storied private courses, which will be like, each course only wants it there once every 5 or 6 years. So every time it's not at one of those courses, it's going to be here in Caledon at TPC Toronto. So it's an important week for Golf Canada, and so far things look pretty good.
Well, that's great to hear. You mentioned Rory McIlRoy, and we spoke recently as well about his lack of communication, let's put it that way, with the media. But he finally stepped to the podium and spoke to everybody this week leading up to the tournament. What did you make of his comments about what's been going on with them the last month or so?
Well, I actually had the privilege of being the one to ask him about not talking to the media, so that was fun. But no, he gave a great response. He always gives very thoughtful answers to questions, and he was pretty blunt. He said, quite frankly, I was pissed off, and he talked a bit about his play. He said he took us through each day. He said Monday he had a really bad first round, shot 74, wanted to go practice. Tuesday he finished late, said he wanted to get home to see his daughter. And he said Wednesday he had an early tee time, but then there was a weather delay, so he didn't end up teeing off till late. Again, finished late. And then he said on Sunday he just wanted to get on the plane and go home to Florida. And then he did he talked about the fact that his driver failed testing and his name leaked out. It pissed him off because he knew that Scotty Scheffler's driver also had failed testing, and he didn't want to be the one to throw Scotty under the bus or bring up Scotty's name. So he said he just would rather, he didn't want to talk because he didn't want to say anything he would regret. So it kind of left this 3-week gap where everyone was filling in the blanks about what might have been going on with Rory McIlroy. And as we know in modern media, you don't want sort of 3 weeks going by with people on social media guessing what's going on with you. But in the end, he had a pretty good answer, and he wasn't combative or anything. He gave a good answer. He said, "Listen, we're not obligated to talk to media. Some other sports they are." He says, "Until golf obligates us to do it, you're going to have some people choose to skip," and that's what he did. He said, "Sometimes you just don't feel like talking."
Yeah, I feel him as well. But for the sake of this video, I must ask you one more question. That, of course, is the Canadian Open setting up where it is right now on the golf schedule, right before another major coming up with the U.S. Open. How do you think that affects the Canadian Open specifically with where it stands right now on the schedule?
Yeah, it's always a bit of it's a double-edged sword. You get some players who, without a doubt, don't want to play before a major, and you get others that really want to. So in a way, you're sort of guaranteeing yourself a decent field because there's some players that want to go into a major championship game ready. Rory McIlroy being one of them for the U.S. Open. He said he sort of turned his U.S. Open fortunes around when he started playing the Canadian Open. You also get a lot of a great European contingent of players, and I asked Rory about that as well. Why are there so many good Europeans here? And he said, that is a timing thing. A lot, if they're playing on the DP World Tour or something, they want to get over here and have a play a tournament in North America to get their legs under them. And it's become a good tournament to play, he said. It's more than anything, it's become a strong tournament. People look around, see Rory playing it and want to play it. So I think, if anything, it's good because it also gives a lot of attention, media attention, fan attention to golf right now, because with Oakmont next week in the U.S. Open, there's going to be a lot of eyes on the sport, and the eyes on the sport when it's in Canada is great for us. So it is shaping up to be good, and I think it's probably a net positive that it's right before a major championship.
Absolutely. Should be a great week this week at TPC Toronto. Can't wait to see how it all goes down. As always, leave your thoughts in the comments section below. For Jon McCarthy, I'm Rob Wong. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.